On today's video, we're going back to Lost Kingdom 135 to the top right frontier where 3 of the top 32 kingdoms or Imperium kingdoms are going at it at a 2v1 situation. The folks in blue trying to fend off the guys in green and yellow. Kingdom 289 versus 291 and 313. Last we left off, 289 in blue were having a very rough time, but things are about to turn. If you guys like war videos, Lost Kingdom coverage, you want me to cover your Lost Kingdom in the future, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you slap a like on this video because, trust me, you never saw what's gonna happen coming. Let's go check it out. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today, we rewind time to look at what ended up happening to the top right frontier war between the folks in blue against green and yellow. 289 versus 291 and 313. Here's the deal. When we last left off, if you haven't seen that video, by the way, stop, click on the top right card, go watch that first, and then come back to watch this video. You really don't have to, but it would be better. At this point, the guys in blue are in deep trouble. They're getting swarmed both from the left and from the bottom. And the guys on the left are ruthless. Kingdom 291 in green have taken over pretty much the top area and locked out one of those passes and are working their way towards the center. The folks in blue, however, as part of their strategy, locked in an area in the center which green has to get through first in order to push forward. Now, while that was happening, the folks in blue were both focusing on trying to gain ground against green, but they recognized the weaker side for them to fight was 313 at the bottom. As you can see, there was an attempt, a very big attempt, all over the place to really get the job done. But the problem here is that when you're facing a 2v1, you need to figure out how to divide your power and divide your warriors in a sensible manner. Or else, something like that happens. That is a massive report at 2.8, almost 2.9 for one. Unbelievable deaths. But this was not the craziest thing. That flag actually held. But on top of all this, the really cool thing that we noticed was that 289 in blue realized that they cannot split their forces. The way their strategy seemed to have worked, and I'm telling you guys as an observer, I don't really know this from them or anyone else. They flagged in a way that required green to spend a good amount of time on the top area near the border and work their way down. And while that happened, before the guys in green managed to reach that second corner area to start cutting towards the center, that's where blue were waiting again, and this is what we're looking at right now. While all this was going on, yellow tried to push straight on the border of the kingdom of the whole map up to the top, but blue recognized that's the weakest link. Yes. The folks of 313 in yellow aren't weak and aren't a bad kingdom. But the way they were setting themselves up, they had an opportunity to go both up and down. And they seem to have wanted to go up. But as soon as things got a bit rough, they started looking the other way. It's not that they didn't put up a fight by any means of the imagination. These guys fought super hard. The yellow folks of 313 fought super hard up towards the top. But it seems like 289 recognized, the folks in blue, that yellow is the target to take down first. And so while green was asleep, green had their downtime, blue managed to gain a little bit of ground and create defenses that would require, just like you can see, the folks at 400 from the green side. 400 are an alliance from 291 in green, as well as an alliance named 291. We're going to see both of them in action. They really had to defend a lot. They had to gain ground, and they had to every now and then chill for a moment to recover. By doing that, the folks in blue essentially bought themselves time on the one frontier, which in my opinion was a huge mistake on the part of green. Green never dropped a fort anywhere that wasn't in their top area. They never tried to contest with forts towards the center. They wanted to flag their way through. And when they did that, they created a very narrow channel for them to go through. Yes, they did drop forts in the top area of their zone 5 all over the place and did come through different angles towards the center. But they really didn't have to do that. As part of Lost Kingdom, you can drop a fort pretty much anywhere. And when you can drop that fort anywhere, what you can do is pretty much take your troops, march on the field, and try to put a fort somewhere in the center. And try to really divert the attention of your opposition. Green went with brute force. They wanted to come through different directions and hit hard. And blue, recognizing that, put up good defenses on certain areas, waited for this kind of time when they could fight back. They gained a couple of flags back, but then went and focused down towards 313 in yellow. 313 were in a unique situation. And in here, we're going to talk for a moment about diplomacy. The way this kingdom, Lost Kingdom, ended up turning out was that the folks in blue, 289, who are watching right now, fighting the folks of 291 in green, they were sandwiched between two allied kingdoms, green and yellow. However, on the bottom right corner, there was another kingdom in orange who was also an ally of yellow, 311. And they were fending off the folks in purple of 279. 279 was not an Imperium kingdom, and therefore that frontier must have been, in theory, a little bit easier. As you can see, green was really focused on that top area and really focused on taking over that area and locking it up. And you can see that they created paths, but blue locked in such an area that it allowed them to create two barriers and focus on yellow. Now, why did I go into all this shebang of diplomacy? Yellow realized things are getting rough up here. And truthfully, we don't really need to go through all this. As the center right kingdom, they had the option to go up or down. Up, they had a 2v1, and down they had a 2v1. But up, they had to face an Imperium kingdom, a ruthless kingdom with a lot of players and great strategy. And down, they had to face a very, very strong, ruthless, and very savvy kingdom, but not an Imperium kingdom, meaning not a top 32 kingdom. And on top of all that, their ally down below was really messing up. The worst part of all of this was that purple, the folks of 279, who are not an Imperium kingdom, did not really bother to clean up the area away from yellow so yellow cannot push. They pretty much left that open area. They were working their way there, kind of the same way green was working their way down. And just like green worked their way down and blue locked up the center, orange was facing purple, who was working their way up but locked down the center. And yellow realized it is much easier to go down than up. I understand this might not make a little sense. It might be a bit hard to follow it. But the bottom line of all this was that for 313 of yellow, it would have been much easier, and it was much easier to fight off 279 at the bottom in purple than keep fending off these guys up on the top, because it is just too much. And so as they slowly got pushed off of the 2v1 frontier up on the top, 289 managed to do the impossible. 289 managed to do exactly what 118 in Lost Kingdom Season 2 on their Lost Kingdom. Shout out to NCB, FL Forever, and those folks, because man, oh man, they did the same thing on their Lost Kingdom 2 in Season 2. It was a matter of splitting the forces, splitting the frontiers, and taking care of one, then going towards the other. At this point, as you can see, They were fighting back green, and green was fighting them. Those flags, all of them were burning or healing. And that was the wall where that green never managed to cross. Even though technically they could have marched their troops across that and dropped a fort anywhere in the center that had no flags next to it and started a frontier in the center, that was the mistake of Kingdom 291 in green. They had a huge area in the center they could have abused that had no flags near it to drop a fortress and divert the attention of blue. Even if that fortress wouldn't have been that defended, the fact that blue would now have to flag that way, try to take it out, it would have been everything that green needed to get rid of that wall. But they didn't do it. They kept trying to go head to head, which was everything blue needed. And as you can see, what blue started doing is placing flags. Those are 2 flags of blue that border 3 flags or even 4 flags of green and a fortress. In that way, they started burning everything. And it's impossible to defend 3 flags and the fortress at the same time. And so everything burned at the same time. And now it's panic time. What the hell do we do? This was a 2v1. Where's our ally? Oh, our ally went down, not up. They're already locked in on the top area. Now it's a 1v1. And it's a 1v1 where 289 have been holding on for so long that they might be a bit tired. They might be a bit depleted of resources. But the attackers are depleted just as much. And the biggest problem of all of this is what I prefaced on our Lost Kingdom, and all of you laughed at me / got mad at me because when I said it about JWM, everybody was like, oh, they're all money. You're not, mentality has nothing to do with it. The moment you're in a 2v1, the mentality of the 2 is, hell, we're going to run them over. But the moment that 2v1 turns into a 1v1 because your enemy was defeated and decided to back off, your mentality, your war spirit, your kingdom's morale drops drastically. And Wales started questioning whether they should be doing this or not. One of these whales who did not think for a second whether he should be doing this or not is this guy you're watching right here holding onto this flag for dear life, and that is Crunky. Big shout out to Crunky because he held onto that flag rally after rally after rally after rally until he just couldn't any longer. You can see the reports on these flags slowly and steadily inching the way against Crunky, and he just couldn't do it anymore. You can't put a flag on one man's back. Now, he had a little bit of backup. In a few of these reports, he had another 2 or 3 people joining him. And in a moment, Taco Cat will start counter-rallying and joining this flag. But by the time that happened, Crunky was already out. The other couple of guys that were here were already out. Taco Cat was in between counter-rallying or sending anything. And the guys of 89 were just going, go, 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 go. We got this, we got this, we got this, we got this, we got this. Their morale was just going up, up, up. And when the morale is up, more people are online, more people send reinforcements, more people fight. And even though Taco Cat right here sends his massively, insanely good rally with his Edward and does break off this rally, things are starting to make their way in favor of 89. And the next report on this was really the breaking point. When you do a 2v1, the most important thing as 2 is obviously for both teams to be fully vested into the fight. And when you are the 1, you have one of 2 options. Try your best, but not really. Or go all in. And when you go all in, it means that you need to have a sound strategy. And you need to have the capability of doing these kinds of things. A kingdom that we saw in the previous time, and I'm going to get massive dislikes and hates and tons of comments and tons of whatever about, was Kingdom 196 in our Lost Kingdom and Lost Kingdom 1. Now, they were facing 2 of not the top 32 kingdoms. They're facing 2 of the top 10 kingdoms. So, of course, their fight was very, very hard, probably much harder than this 2v1. And on top of that, the mentality behind the two alliances, the two kingdoms that went, not two alliances, two kingdoms that went up against 196, their mentality was much, much stronger. But just like we said on those videos where the problem that 196 had, that it was that they couldn't fight one frontier while just fending off the other one. In this case, that worked out super well. It was the same thing Kingdom 118 in their Lost Kingdom did a little while back. And once the mentality shifts in your alliance, once the folks of A, the folks of 400, folks of 291 started questioning whether this is worth it or not, whether the strategy was good or not, they start playing the blame games, they start getting toxic with each other, they start going, screw this, nobody's helping, I'm not gonna do this anymore, which does happen. And you can't blame the frustrated player who does that because he or she feel like they're putting everything in and nobody around them is doing anything. And believe it or not, sometimes it happens, but more often than not, the losses keep making you feel like that way, even though everybody around you is doing whatever they can. As you can see in this clip right here, Taco Cat, I believe, had to dip out because he went to rally something else, trying to figure out how he can do something to counter this. And that kind of a proactive play kept Kingdom 291 in green in play for much longer than I even expected. The bottom line of this 2v1 was that a division of in between what will be, and by the way, there is Manic coming in to try to reinforce that flag a little further. The idea behind 289's strategy worked out well. Lock in, first of all, on the top, create enough of a presence to make green go after that first. While that's going on, set up a blockade to cut off green and keep them at that top area of the zone 5. Then they worked up their way down towards yellow and also created a blockade to lock in yellow at that bottom area, leaving the whole middle for themselves. And neither yellow nor green recognized that and went to place anything in the center to offset that empty space. Later on, both green and yellow placed flags, but they placed them next to the level 5 passes because they want to try to keep that axis. But if you don't have presence in the area, those passes are not feasible. And the worst part was, yellow said, screw this, we're going down. They even told the guys at 400, listen, we'll be back in a couple of days. We're just going to go cause some mayhem down. Yeah, we're going to cause some mayhem down. You know what I'm saying? We'll be back to help you guys out in a couple of days or so. And so 291 were left with their, you know what, in their hand. Like, what now? And it's not like they can't take out 289 in a 2v1. But they are placed in a situation, flags-wise, forts-wise, power-wise, territory-wise, they're placed in a way where they expect to have an ally at the bottom. Now, green are alone, and they only own a relatively big, but a very insignificant area of that zone 5. They do own and lock in a pass. But again, if they cannot have bigger presence, blue slowly and steadily work their way in. And green's strategy worked out against them, really. Because when they divided and conquered to try to burn as many flags as they can on that blockade, now things flipped upside down. Now, the folks in blue, who don't need to care about yellow anymore, can focus on all those frontiers and counterfight those. And all of a sudden, 89 were burning flags left and right. Look at Crunky, man. This guy losing so many troops trying to hold on. He just couldn't keep doing it. And this is, again, MDFK burning. ANKA burning. Both those fortresses burning. Look at how much ground blue is gaining. That fortress burning. Flags peak. Amazing job. Hitting the flag. About to burn. I mean, when I saw this happen, I was like, wow, 313 are weak. What the heck? They're not able to take a 2v1 against one kingdom with a friendly 291, which are nasty. They're very strong kingdom. What is this? But then I realized 313 were not fully vested in that frontier. And when things got hard, they bailed. And they went down. Now, before you guys go thinking I'm hating on 313, I like that play. I think 313 did the right thing. I'm sorry to the guys at 291 in green. I think yellow did the right thing. Why? This Lost Kingdom is a 4v4. And this is only zone 5. Once zone 6 opens up, that's when people can start crossing to others' zone 5s. And this is where yellow can either come back up to try to help green and bring reinforcements with them in the form of orange, or the other way around, the folks in blue can now start coming down to help. So regardless, you might win the zone 5 fight, but now when zone 6 opens up, again the madness happens, and it's a 4v4, so these guys are going to come help each other. The bottom line is, green got screwed. Why? Because to their left, there was 278 who completely dominated that area. There was no way to go out that way. But it doesn't mean their Lost Kingdom is over. What 291 and green now need is for yellow and orange to maintain the alliance of 4 kingdoms and come up to help them and come up to unlock that kingdom 291 from their zone 4. Because if they can't do that, it's a 3v4 now. Because the folks in the team of 289, the folks of blue, and the rest of their allies, 279 in purple and red, and I forgot what the last color is. These guys are going to come in to help each other. You'll see in the next couple of videos what happened in the bottom frontier. Once, first and foremost, 279 in purple pushed out, and then what happened when yellow started coming in. You'll see what their situation is in videos coming out Thursday and Friday. That frontier got really sick, and it has tons of cool strategy and awesome footage. You don't want to miss those videos. Again, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit the bell, slap a like on the video. Don't forget that. But once you see that, you're going to understand the current situation and layout of that Lost Kingdom. In the video on Friday, the final video of the Zone 5 Wars, I'm going to tell you guys how the Zone 6s should look like, and of course we're going to cover that. But as you can see, blue are now countering the greens idea, the greens flags, and are slowly pushing them back. Final thoughts on this Lost Kingdom. This 4v4 as of right now, if you go take a look at the map, is a 3v3 and not a 4v4. Although the folks in 279 have an ace up their sleeve at the bottom center. You'll see that in the videos Thursday and Friday. So really, as of right now, it's a 4v3. And unless 311 and 313 in orange and yellow can come rescue the guys in green and get them out and get them into the field of zone 6, we know that their final ally, 298, all the way on the side, is the weakest kingdom who got screwed over in this matching. And they are very much locked in, both from top and bottom. They can't do anything. So again, unless orange and yellow come to rescue and get 291 and green into the center area, we're gonna see not a 3v4 but a 2v4, and things are gonna get really rough. So we're expecting a nice little 2v1 action yet again on zone 6. But before we get all there, we gotta go tell the story of the bottom, because that story is even crazier. Anyway, I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed the commentary, anything, make sure you're slapping a like on the video. And of course, if you haven't yet, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord, all in the description down below. Click show more under the game's name, and come follow me. I'm missing 2 followers on Instagram to get to 100. I'm very close to, I think, 500, 400, 300 followers on Instagram, on Twitter. Come follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Let me know what you think of this series. That Discord is popping. Over 2,000 members in there. Lots of information, lots of cool people, and a lot of information that goes out there first. We're going to start leaking a little bit of stuff in there. Anyway, I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Take care. Thank you for all your continuous support. I hope you enjoy this series. And until Thursday, our next episode, take care. Peace.